Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon for another deck profile here on our Deck Profile Mondays. Make sure to like the video, subscribe and ding that notification bell if you are liking this video and our many others at this point. we're starting to build up a little collection now, so feel free to go down to the description and check out the playlists we have for a few of our videos down there. Now today's deck profile is a deck that I think a lot of people have been talking about. It's been topping a lot at regionals across the globe, and it got hit on the last ban list. So the deck we're talking about today is MirageGaogamon. Now, I have to make an omission. I never actually watched Digimon Data Squad, because when it came out, it wasn't aired in the UK, I don't think. So I never got around to watching it personally. However, back when BT11 came out, I ended up opening a few boxes, and I ended up getting basically all the BT11 stuff for Mirage. So I decided, you know what, I haven't got a blue deck, I'll make MirageGaogamon. And then as time went on, as the year went on, the deck has just snowballed into this absolute monstrosity, which just swings, and blitzes everything out of its path with some of the craziest tools and one of the best floodgates in the entire game. So we'll get into the card by card now, and then later on we'll do a test hand as well. So first, for our eggs, there's no other choice that's better, and we all know what it's going to be. It's Bukamon. Bukamon at 4 is the single best blue egg currently going. It is nigh on broken as an egg. You know, the fact that you can just have this give free jamming to anything. You don't even have to put any work in, really. If you're going first, even your rookie will just be able to go in and swing for a jamming check, because it will have more Digivolution cards than they have, because they most likely will have nothing, and if they do have anything, it will have been hard played and won't have any Digivolution cards. So, you know, unless the other players manage to like cross turn 1, you're guaranteed to have jamming on your first swing pretty much all the time. And then as it goes on, you know, MirageGaogamon does go up to level 7, so it does have capacity for a larger stack than a lot of other decks. The only decks I think this egg struggles against is stuff like you know, the Greymon decks, and when BT14 comes around, Metal Garurumon as well, just because of the X-antibody climbing and everything there. But it's the best egg going. If you wanted an alternative, because you don't have Bukamons, go Wanyamon instead. This was what I was running before. When attacking, draw 1 if you've got a tamer. But come on, guys, it's free jamming. Why wouldn't you? Next up is our rookies. So first of all, we've got 4 copies of the BT11 Gaomon, which is a really strong searcher for the deck. Reveal top 3, add 1 Digimon card with Galga in its name and 1 blue tamer card among them, and then trash the rest. And remember, it is trash the rest with this one. You don't get the luxury of deck bottoming like you do with most searches, and indeed all of the other searches from BT11. I always seem to have so much beef with BT11. If you've been watching our videos, there's a certain BT11 card which I've got a major beef with, but that's within a you know, different deck profile entirely. But this card is probably our most consistent searcher we've got. You know, for Gaomon, it can whiff, because there is some Galga stuff that we don't play, and of course it whiffs on other rookies as well. But really great card. You know, and the Inheritable does come up every now and again. If you have a tamer in play, return 1 of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand. So that does come up. Next up, we've got 4 copies of the EX4 Gaomon, which is the best Gaomon in my opinion. On play, both players each draw 1, which, if you know the Gaogamon strategy, is incredibly important. Not only are you giving yourself an extra draw, you're ensuring that your opponent has more cards. And that does sound counterintuitive, but with the Gaogamon strategy, you get more resources for yourself the more cards your opponent has. You are able to unlock more of your aggression if they've got more cards. You gain more memory if they've got more cards. It's a great card. And speaking of gaining memory, the Inheritable, when in effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, gain 1 memory, really comes up a lot, and it's, you know, it's a great Inheritable. Then next up is 4 copies of BT14 Gomamon. So the first non-Gaomon rookie, and the only non-Gaomon rookie. Again, this is a card where, much in line with the Bukamon, this is one of the best blue rookies in the game, and so many decks can get away with running this guy. You know, keep him in the raising at the start of the game, and if you're going second, he can strip a source from the bottom of them, which possibly means that it gives itself the jamming because of the Bukamon. And end of game, if you trash that Digivolution card, this becomes unblockable. So if they've got loads of blockers out but no security, this will finish the game for you. It's great. Then also it gives you a little bit of recovery as well, because when your Digimon would die, you can play this out from the stack in order to make sure you've got at least something still on the board, which does come up as well. It's a really great card. One of the cards that we can whiff on with the BT11 Gaomon, but I find most of the time really doesn't matter. Just a fantastic card in general. Then next up is our champions. So first of all, we've got 4 copies of EX4 Gaogamon. This is the best champion we've got, the best Gaogamon we've got. Return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand when Digivolving. Obviously, it's not an on-play, so you can't get around doing that in that sense. And if you're building stack in the raising, which a lot of the time is what you're doing with Gaogamon, you know, that Digivolving might not come up, but it could still be possible. But the inheritable, again, is the same as the EX4 Gaomon. When in effect, add cards to your opponent's hand, return 1, gain 1 memory. So again, really important for that memory gain, that resource building. Great card. Next is 4 copies of the BT13 Gaogamon. So this one's great because if you have moved up with your rookies to get that cheeky swing on the first turn, you can Digivolve into this, and then you can play out any Thomas from your hand for free, so long as you don't have one in play. Really good. Also, if you don't have jamming, it doesn't come up as much now because we do have jamming pretty much all the time thanks to Bukamon. It does give you an extra 1000 DP all turns if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, which can be very important if you're blocking, in the quite rare occasion that you are blocking, but it does come up. And also, you know, in case you don't have jamming, again, that rare occasion, this will help you kind of boost up your attack power. Then our last champion, I'm actually only running 9, which you can get away with this in this deck. It's just 1 copy of the BT11 Gaogamon. It's not that great when attacking. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, gain 1 memory. Strengthened a bit by jamming, of course. But it doesn't really come up that much. And then if you have a Tamer in play, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to its owner's hand, the same as its BT11 rookie counterpart. You know, it's in there just as an extra Galga name. You could bump it up by 1 if you wanted to go to more standard numbers, but I find 1 is fine. The consistency of this deck doesn't really... It's not got that many issues. For an OTK deck especially, the consistency is not that bad. Next up, 1 copy of MirageGaogamon from EX4. We all know why this is at 1 copy. It got limited. It was big sad. But, you know, there's many reasons why it was. It's the most generic inheritable out of the level 5s. When attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, unsuspend this Digimon. You know, that is very obviously strong, especially because this deck wants to unsuspend, you know, as much as possible. And then it's when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to its owner's hand is also quite strong as well. Obviously a fantastic card, and quite rightly so put to 1, I would say. Next up is 4 copies of MirageGaogamon. So this is the next best MirageGaogamon that we have available to us. This one gives us a massive DP boost, which again, in the rare case we don't have jamming, will come up. And it does give us blocker, so it's our 1 defensive option that we have, and in terms of actually being a physical blocker. Which, you know, if you're on the defensive, if you're having to move this up early, Digivolve into this, and start building another stack, you know, this will come up, you know, for you and will potentially save your life. Then it's other inheritable. When in effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, unsuspend this Digimon. That does come up quite relatively often as well. So I definitely recommend that. And then keeping a bit of a theme of strong BT14 stuff, we've got 3 copies of Zudomon Ace. There's definitely a world where you could boost it up to 4, but I think 3 is fine, because bearing in mind some of your searchers will whiff on this. It's you know, this is currently level 5 or otherwise the best ace card in the game. There is no better ace card better than this. It frankly makes aces like MirageGaogamon Ace look terrible in comparison. Even, you know, stuff as strong as Tyrannomon Ace, this makes them look bad. It's just so good. You know, strip any 2 sources, return something, anything with no sources back to hand. It's an incredibly strong card. Very cheap play cost as well, which does come up. You know, if you're not finding your champions, which, you know, bearing in mind we've only got 9, so that can happen. You know, it's something really cheap to play out, and something that you can then digivolve your level 6s on top. So really strong card. Absolutely love Zudomon Ace, unless I'm on the receiving end of it. Next up is 4 copies of BT11 MirageGaogamon. Easily the best out of our 2 MirageGaogamon options. This card is incredible, and it's seemingly only gotten stronger as time has gone on. Back when BT11 first came out, you know, it was all right because the deck was all right. But now we're at the point of BT14 where we've got so many more consistency tools, so many more tools for our aggression, you know, so many more tools for adding cards to the opponent's hand. This card is nuts. You know, at the time of recording this, the 18th of December ban list hasn't come out yet, and will have actually come out the day that this video is uploaded. I decided to go ahead with the deck profile because obviously for us over in the UK, the US, basically everywhere that's not Japan, the ban list isn't coming into effect until March. There's a case for this to be put to 1 because it's so stupidly strong, and I know Bandai doesn't really put level 6s to you know, onto the chopping block, but all turns, when your opponent, you know, when a card is added to your opponent's hand via an effect, you gain memory for every 4 cards. So if they've got 8 cards in hand, you gain 2 memory. If they've done a search, you gain memory. If you use the when digivolving effect to return a Digimon that's level 5 or lower, or the top of their security stack, if you didn't return anything 5 or lower to the hand, you gain memory. With the other memory inheritables that we have, you can absolutely go into this for free. It's bonkers. It's a great card. You know, absolutely phenomenal, and frankly makes our other level 6 MirageGaogamon from BT13 a little bit poo. You know, this does come up. It's nice to have it as a 5th option, but I wouldn't bump it to 6 again because of the consistency of the deck. I wouldn't worry about that too much. It has evade, so it can stop itself from dying. More importantly, it can return tamers to hand, which is quite good against you know, decks like ShineGreymon. And then when it does return something to hand, you then get to play a Thomas without paying the cost, which, you know, it's not a bad card by any stretch. It's just not as good as this one by any stretch of the imagination. Good as our backup, but ideally you want to be going into this all the time. This is just great. Great card, okay card. Onto the level 7s. So level 7s, we're only playing 1 level 7, but of course we're playing 3 copies of it. It is MirageGaogamon Burst Mode. This is the card that, when it comes out, it 9 times out of 10 will finish the game. It just will. It's returning stuff to hand, just like its BT11 counterpart. It's gaining memory for returning stuff to hand, just like its BT11 counterpart. Only on when digivolving, of course. It's not an alternate effect. And then when attacking, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand, you can then return cards from their hand until they only have 8 remaining, and then unsuspend. Which again just really helps you out with swinging for game, getting extra checks in. And again, you'll have jamming most of the time. So, you know, yeah, 15k DP is incredibly strong. You know, that's a level 7 baseline right there. There are stuff in security that could beat that still, you know, or match it. And, you know, it's just so strong. You basically just get to, you know, delete their security for free. You know, and then get given memory for doing other stuff. It's just, you know, great card. Digivolves for 0 if you return a Thomas from hand. Even if you Digivolve for 5, you could potentially still be doing it for free because of the amount of memory you gain, depending on their hand size, of course. Great card. Stupidly strong. Exactly what a level 7 should be doing. Next up, we have our Tamers. We've got 3 copies of the BT14 Thomas. Now, a lot of people may play this at 4 instead, but I actually prefer our other Tamer option at 4, just because it's cheaper to go into, and for me, its ability to help you unsuspend is simpler and makes more sense. Though there is a condition to it, which I'll get into. But this one is also great. It sets your memory to 3, so obviously that's great for helping start off your plays. It, you know, shores up the fact that if you go into the BT11 MirageGaogamon, you're most likely going to be doing that for free. You know, or at the very least, you're going to keep your turn. Then not only that as well, but when one of your Digimon with Gaomon or Gaogamon in its name attacks, by suspending this Tamer, both players draw 1 card from their decks, which is incredibly strong when coupled with Burst Mode. Because if you do that, let's say you've already attacked with your Mirage Burst Mode, you know, and it's unsuspended via its own effect, they've got 8 cards in their hand. This can't use its own effect again. So what you do is you swing in, trigger this because this is attacking, you add cards in your hand, and then that gives you 9, and you're still in the same window for this when attacking to still go off, because you're still in the attacking stage. Then you can return something to the bottom of their deck, unsuspend again. It's great. It's an incredibly good combo these two have. You know, really good Tamer. I just think because of the 4 cost, it's better to keep it at 3. But, you know, you guys feel free to do what you want. I'm not the Gaogamon guru. So, you know, do what feels right for you, really. But speaking of what feels right for me, 4 copies of the much older BT4 Thomas. Now, the reason I think this is a little bit better to have at 4 than the BT13 is, again, the cost is less. So it's 3. And obviously you can play Thomases for free via certain effects, but you're not always guaranteed to do so. On play, triggers draw 1, which helps you with your consistency because you're drawing more cards. And then main, if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, you may suspend this Tamer to unsuspend one of your Digimon with Gao in its name. So it really helps to do this and kind of just have a couple of them out to help you with unsuspending once your opponent has 8 or more cards in hand. And specifically, you must remember it is 8 or more cards in hand. I actually caught myself in the video that's coming out on Wednesday forgetting that, and I did apologise to Dan, who was in that video. Again, Dan, if you're watching, apologies again, mate. You must be 8 or more cards in their hand to unsuspend. If there isn't, you can't use it. But I think ultimately this is a much simpler unsuspend tool than this one, so that's why I have it at 4. It helps with your consistency as well with that draw. Then option cards. It wouldn't be a BT14 deck without 4 copies of the obligatory training card. So we've got 4 copies of Mental Training. 2 cost, incredibly low. Reveal top 2, add any blue card. Every card in the deck is blue. There are no issues with that. It can literally search everything. And then allows you to go into things for cheaper with its delay to reduce Digivolution cost by 2. Training cards are busted, man, especially in a single color deck like this. They are so good. Like, at least with Greymon, unless you're playing the War Greymon version, they can, in fact, even if you're playing the War Greymon version, because you've got cards which are not red or not black, you will have chances to whiff on stuff. In this deck, you don't have that issue, so just play this at 4. You know, you could absolutely play Memory Boost as well. I don't, spoiler alert for these two. But this is just the best, training cards are the best searcher going at the moment. And there is definitely a world where this could be, you know, that all of the training cards could eventually get hit. I don't know if that will be the case, because the fact that they're generic, they help out every deck, but there still are certain decks that kind of are helped by them more, like this one. than others. You know, trading cards aren't going to be helping Shoutmon anytime soon, for example, because of all the different colours that are in there. But obligatory 4 copies, great card. Next up, got 1 copy of Sorai and 1 copy of Full Moon Meteor Impact. Now you could absolutely swap these 2 out so that you're 2 Full Moon or 2 Sorai. And I've just realised actually my pre-release copy is not the one I have in my deck. I'll be swapping that out later. I'm not usually a rarity hound, but you know, if I've got the option, I'll do it. But no, these help you greatly with removal and with kind of stalling things out. That's why I've decided to keep 1 of each rather than going 2 of either one of them. But again, for you, do what you feel is best. Sorai might be more your jam, or Full Moon Meteor Impact might be. Sorai, only 4 copies. Trash the top 4 Digivolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of your opponent's turn. Your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards can't attack. Obviously really good in terms of stalling things out, whether it's in security or you hard play it. Couples really well with our Zudamon Ace as well, because trashing the top 4 is a lot of cards going from a stack. So if you then have the ability to blast into Zudamon Ace, there's a strong chance that you could remove something off the field. Then Full Moon Meteor Impact is incredibly good. It's a power corrupt Cocytus Breath, or rather the power creeper of Cocytus Breath, I guess. Cocytus Breath is what was power corrupt. This is the thing that's shoved it and gone, you know, I'm way better than you, dude. Return something to hand, then you gain memory for every 4 cards in your opponent's hand, much like some of the other Gaogamon cards. So you're never really going to be paying 8 for this unless your opponent somehow has less than 4 cards in hand. Really great card, does come up quite often, even at 1. You know, feel free to go ahead and put in more depending on what you feel like. Right, what we'll do next is we'll set up a test scenario, and we will show a straight up OTK with the deck. See you in a mo. So we have our test scenario all set up here. So we've got 2 Thomases, 1 of each, waiting in the wings here to be super useful. We've got a MirageGaogamon in the security and 5 security remaining on our end. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in hand. A old man telling us to get off his lawn, good old Digimon, and 5 security themselves. So neither player's taken any damage at this point, which obviously is not that realistic. But for the purposes of this combo, we need them to have full 5 security, and it really doesn't matter what security we have, really. Speaking of something that doesn't matter, memory doesn't really matter too much at this point, because of Thomas, we're going to go up to 3 as we move MirageGaogamon out onto the field. We're then, for a cost of 4, going to go into MirageGaogamon. Now, we will attempt to remove a level 5 or lower, because they haven't got anything, because Digimon is level 6. We instead get to remove the top of their security. Obviously, they get to know what that is, we don't. Then, because we've added something to their hand, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 8 cards in hand, so we gain 2 memory, passing turn back to us. Then, because we've got more sources than they do, we swing into security with jamming, which, as you can see, mattered a lot. 12k, we would have died if we didn't have jamming. Bukamon putting in the work as per. Then, we're going to remove Thomas from our field and put him back into our hand to Digivolve for 0 into MirageGaogamon Burst Mode. Then his effect goes off when Digivolving. We get to return something on the field, which in this case will be the Digimon. Off that goes. Metaltronamon to the trash. And then we gain memory for every 4 cards. So because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, we gain another 2 memory, taking us back to 3. Also, MirageGaogamon goes off, so when an effect adds cards to your opponent's hand, unsuspend this Digimon. Then, we are going to swing in with MirageGaogamon Burst Mode with jamming. Bearing in mind, I did forget this effect, so we actually gain 2 memory for returning something to hand. Apologise. Then we're going to swing in. The Burst Mode's effect goes off, so because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, our effect does read if your opponent has 9 or more cards in their hand, we can remove one to deck bottom. So we'll say this one. They get to see what it is. We do not. And then we get to unsuspend. Then the check goes off. Rust around 1 ace. Then we will play out our Thomas again for 3. We get to draw a card. Then we're going to swing in again with burst mode. We then get to activate Thomas. So both players draw a card. This means they now have 9 or more again. So when attacking for this goes off again. Pull out any one of these. Doesn't really matter. Bottom deck it goes. Unsuspend. Check goes through. Quartzmon, 15k, again, jamming, putting in work. Then we're going to swing again. This time we do not have our when attacking available because they've got 8 cards in hand, but we do have jamming for the last check. Master Tyrannomon. And then because I've got 8 or more cards in hand, Thomas, unsuspend, and that's game. Erased in a single turn. Obviously not the best deck to showcase it against, but if you check out our match from Saturday, as well as our upcoming match on Wednesday, you'll definitely see this deck in action, putting in some real work. You know, great deck, fantastic. It's really come a long way since it came out in BT11. Again, guys, if you like this video and our other ones, please like, subscribe, and ding the notification bell. We'd really appreciate the support going forward. We've got some special stuff coming up in the new year for sure. We've also got an aim of trying to get to 30 subscribers before Christmas. So 1 week to go, guys. We can do it. No, I really appreciate the support either way, guys. You know, thank you for watching. And, you know, let me know how this deck goes for you. If there's anything you think I should change. If there's anything that you learned from this, I guess. Let us know in the comments below. But anyways, guys, keep it digital.